YouTube Ozic going the Goat House is back with our updated Week 11 NFL Power Rankings. We got a new number one this week. We update these every single Tuesday, so hopefully you join us for that. We have weekly picks Tuesday night, so you can join us for that as well. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. We have full NFL coverage here at the Goat House. Check out those links pinned in the comments. Our sponsors, GLD Shop, Liquid IV. We have discount code GOAT for both those sites. Follow our Twitters, a link down below for that as well. But excited about these power rankings, so let's get into it. 32, the Texans are at the bottom. They're down one spot to number 32. A winnable game for them. It felt like they were in the Giants' territory quite a bit of the game and just getting field goals instead of touchdowns, and then 2 turnovers late in the game in the red zone. So that'll move you down. That'll cost you. Raiders, I still can't believe the Raiders are down here, but they are. There's a game. I know Matt Ryan comes in last second. Raiders didn't really game plan for it. He's better than Ellinger, obviously, but it's a game. The Raiders got to do a little bit more on offense. They really collapsed on defense at times. They had a shot at the end, even though they got outplayed completely the whole game. But it's been weird. It's been rough. Been a rough year for the Raiders. Panthers at 30. They're going to go up 2 spots. A good win against the Falcons. They completely outplayed the Falcons too. So that was a good game at home. Can they get something consistent together now? They were coming off that awful loss to the Bengals there, but they go up 2 spots after that division win at home. Broncos down 4 spots. Yeah, it's a tough one. I love the Broncos defense. They're just based on their defense. I want to rank them higher because it's so good, but man, they got to find a way to win that game. I know the Broncos are very beat up as well, but the Titans were really beat up. The Broncos shut down Derrick Henry, the run game. That's pretty much the Titans' whole offense, and you still can't find a way to win the game. So that's pretty bad. That's pretty brutal there. So the Broncos down 4 spots, number 29. Bears down 2 spots, 28. Bears been playing some pretty decent offense, to say the least. The last 3 weeks they've been scoring plenty enough to win, but they can't find a way to win. The defense is really struggling. Like, offense is better, but the defense is much worse as well. And they got to take care of the ball and make big time plays. Not that it's on the offense, but in the end, that pick 6 can't happen. Obviously, missed extra point can't happen. So I guess there are some things that we can't really blame the defense for there at the end, even though most of it is on them. Allowing as many yards and points as they have, but. Yeah, it's weird. I figured we moving the Bears up by this point because it looked like they got better. They're able to score more points, but they just can't win right now, so that's a problem. So they're down to 28. Saints are really struggling right now as well. They're down 4 spots, number 27. Winnable game against the Steelers, but they get outplayed in that one. They only scored 10 points. No Minkah Fitzpatrick. I mean, they got unlucky. They had to deal with TJ Watt way earlier. He's back way earlier than expected, but it's got to be Winston time. Dalton doesn't have the big explosive plays, plus he's throwing interceptions, so you might as well go with Jameis Winston because he can give you those interceptions too, but he's going to give you some big-time plays. I think gives you more energy, more momentum, a spark possibly as well. So to me, it's a no-brainer, absolute no-brainer, but we'll see what happens there. They're down 4 spots, 27. Steelers, speaking of the Steelers, they're up 3 spots, number 26. A good outing for them. Defense played extremely well, even though they're missing some guys there, but it was good to have TJ Watt back in there. Offense made plays when they needed to. Najee Harris had a few good plays. Pickett had some good moments as well. So maybe a sign they turn some things around. I like the schedule the rest of the year for the Steelers. Winnable game against the Bengals this week. I think it's a 50-50 game there, so maybe they turn it around. Maybe Mike Tomlin finds a way to get them in again. They got a lot of work to do, though. The Colts up 3 spots, number 25, just a better team with Matt Ryan in there. I don't really know if it's going from Reich to Saturday, if that made him a better team. I can't really say that. I think just Matt Ryan's a lot better, even though he struggled this year. He's just a ton better than Sam Ellinger. Mind-blowing, right? Jonathan Taylor got going. So that's good. Paris Campbell, players like that, they played well on defense. So the only thing I didn't like is I felt like they completely outplayed the Raiders, where the Raiders I can't believe the Raiders were in the game in the end. If the Colts would have lost that one, it would have been pretty damn tough because I felt like they played well enough to have that game put away by them. But they played better. They moved the ball on offense, and they're on the board here with another win. Rams down 2 spots, 24. Yeah, tough one against the Cardinals. I know Walford was in, but the Cardinals had their backup in. They just couldn't do anything on offense. Still can't block anybody. Cooper Kupp goes down. Pretty disastrous there. Defense, didn't play awful, but it's, they let the Cardinals hold the ball a long time and move it. pretty easily. So they made Colt McCoy maybe look. Now we're sitting here questioning, are the Cardinals better with Colt McCoy because what they do to the Rams defense there. So not the best outing all around. It's been a weird year for the Rams. Jags down 3 spots. They just started off so poorly in this game against the Chiefs. They were playing a lot better, at the end of the first half and on there. They were scoring points. They were moving the ball. Missed 2 field goals, which was tough. I felt like they moved the ball more to score more points, more than the 17 points. So there was some positives, but overall negative, because you lost and you started off very poorly. You missed 2 field goals, and you didn't get the points on the board that you needed to. So they'll go down 3 spots, number 23. Falcons down 4 spots, 22. That was an ugly one against the Panthers. It was in the rain, but it was the Panthers, and it was very ugly. Mariota had a very bad outing as well. Didn't like the lack of Cordero Patterson in that game. Dropped a bunch of interceptions. Couldn't stop the run. It was a bad one for the Falcons. Just based off that game, which we're not going to base everything off one game, they look like maybe the worst team in football. Probably the worst team in football. So is it a rain thing? Was it a 1 week thing? We will see. But they're down 4 spots, number 22. Packers up 6 spots, 21. I was actually originally going to move them up a lot higher. That's where I kind of gotta go through my power rankings and I double, triple check them. Let's make sure everything's right and stick by my system here. I was gonna move the Packers up, and 6 is a lot for Week 11. But I was gonna move up a ton because that's the Packers. They looked really good. I shouldn't say so good because they struggle on defense a little bit, but looked really good. They beat a top team in the Cowboys. It felt like they're maybe kind of back here, so I was kind of getting excited for the Packers. But they are fresh off a 5-game losing streak. They did just lose to the Lions last week, so kind of had to slow my roll a little bit. Let's see them get consistent, but I did move them up 6 spots, and they'll play the Titans on Thursday night. Should be a really good game there. Could go either way. So that would be a big one. If they win, they can really get a boost here in the power rankings. Lions, back-to-back wins. They beat the Bears, a clutch one in the end. There was a portion of that game where they struggled a little bit, but they found a way. In the end of that game, Goff was balling. They were able to use every part of the offense, run game, everything, even when it's late and they're trying to come back. So they just kind of stay calm. That's what I liked about it there. And, the defense gave up 30 points, but they made some plays late in this game. They adjusted a bit. Fields ran all over them. He had broke that sack, ran for that 20 or so yard touchdown, then ran for that 60-plus yard touchdown. And then the Lions might have adjusted something because they got a pick 6 on Fields, and why they got that is because they were able to keep him inside the pocket and kind of surround him so he couldn't get out. So he panicked and threw the ball up in the air, a pick 6. And that last drive where the Bears had a shot, they were doing the same thing. He was trying to get out of there, but he couldn't. They had everyone surrounding him there. So I like the adjustments there down the stretch, even though it was a little late, but they still won. But they're up 4 spots after a 2-game winning streak here at number 20. Browns going to stay put at 19. They did get shellacked by the Dolphins, so maybe deserving moving down. But still what's sticking with me is that dominant win against the Bengals, just a week ago, or their previous game, I should say. I just feel like they've been playing a little bit better ball than some recently than some of these other teams. I know they're coming off that bad loss, but just more than just the most recent game there. So the Browns stay at 19. Cardinals go up 3 spots. Good win against the Rams. A game they should win with Walford in there, but the offense looked relaxed. I keep saying they looked... it's the first time I've seen them like that this year. It looked smooth there. Everyone was on the same page. Play call comes in. They run the play. It works out. They're able to hold the ball, manage time of possession, make big-time plays across the board. So they still played. I know Walford was in, Stafford was out. They still played a pretty good defense and looked pretty good while playing it. So impressed with the Cardinals in that one game. Let's see if they kind of put something together. Let's see who's at quarterback next week. They're up 3 spots to 18. Chargers down 4 spots, 17. Yeah, it was a tough one on Sunday night. I know they did play a pretty good team in the Niners, and the Chargers were missing a lot of guys. Tons of teams. The Chargers might be more beat up than anyone, but tons of teams lost because they were beat up. We don't make any exceptions here. But you look at the actual game, things were going the Chargers' way in the beginning of this game. They started off with a score off the script that looked like the 49ers were unlike them. They were blowing coverages. They didn't know the guys were not in their responsibility, doing where they were supposed to be. That fumble was wild. Ayuk got whipped into somebody. It was just a very fortunate fumble. Good play, but it was very fortunate. They got a blocked punt, and the Niners are all about running the football, winning the time of possession. When you're down by multiple scores, it's very difficult to do that. So the Chargers had them in a great position, but then you still lost. You still only score 16 points. Like, I had the Chargers projected to score 17 in that game because I didn't think it was a good matchup. But I didn't project everything to go their way in the first half and then score less than what I had them. So to me, it's just a game like that is just extremely disappointing. When things go your way, you got to find a way to win the football game. And I know they're really beat up and they got more beat up throughout the game, so that's tough as well. But you got to find a way to win that football game. It's an extremely disappointing loss. Patriots down one spot. They're on a bye. Just had to move a team up. Same with the Bengals. They're kind of in the same boat, right next to each other. Both moved down one spot because actually moving two teams up. The Chargers actually moved below those teams. I was just very disappointed with that Chargers loss that they moved down. But two teams moved up ahead of those teams on a bye. The Buccaneers being one of them. A good win against a hot team, a very solid Seattle Seahawks team. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers just completely outplayed them. I love the game plan of coming in there and pounding the football using Rashad White. I don't know where it came from because not only was the run game not working in the past, but they would have abandoned it way too early. Sometimes you got to take time, let the running backs get going, and they weren't doing that. And they just had that game plan and they executed it, and they threw off that Seattle offense too. They stopped Kenneth Walker in his running game. It's just wild. So impressive one for the Bucs. Overall, they still played some pretty sloppy football this year. So I don't want to get carried away, but they are heading in the right direction here and maybe getting some momentum. And maybe here comes the Bucs. Maybe here comes Tom Brady. So they're up 2 spots, number 14 after that good win. The Commanders take down the only undefeated team, the best team in football, Philadelphia Eagles, last night. I know the score ended up. It's funny because the score in the end, because the Commanders scored on defense and the pitches, the laterals, so that makes the score look like a bigger win than what it was. But not really, actually, because you look at the time of possession and how the Commanders controlled that game. Really, that's probably right around where the score should have been based on how they dominated that game. So it was a very good performance for them. They ran the ball extremely well. I feel like they were way more physical than the Eagles last night. Heineke made clutch plays. Receivers made clutch plays. Defense is night and day difference from earlier in the year. They played very, very well, created some turnovers on a team that doesn't really turn the ball over much at all. So it was in Philly on Monday night. I mean, one of the toughest environments too. So just super impressive. The Commanders been a much better team recently. They did have a loss last week, a close one against the Vikings, who might be one of the top team in football right now. So overall, they've been playing really good football recently. So they're up to number 13. We saw them at the bottom at one point this year. So that's crazy that where they got to right now. See if they can keep rolling, maybe make the playoffs. 49ers going to stay put at 12. They got to win on primetime against the Chargers. Things weren't going their way earlier in this game. I like that they bounced back and won it, but they were sloppy throughout this game, which they shouldn't really be. But yeah, I still think they're a really good team, and they should rise up these rankings eventually here. But there's just teams ahead of them that I didn't really feel were worthy of moving below them, and the Niners really didn't do enough where it's like I have to move this team up. So they stay put there. Jets were on a bye. They are coming off that good win against the Bills, but then they did have the bye this week. They're going to stay put at 11. Seahawks going to go down 5 spots. That was a disappointing one to me, and now they're at 6-4. So the difference between 6-4 and 7-3, I think, is pretty significant, even though it's one game. Pretty significant when it comes to these rankings. But it was a disappointing one because they just did not look anywhere near like the team they've been looking like. Just nothing really going for them on offense. It was weird seeing them without a run game at all, and then. Yeah, I mean, the blitz was a factor against them, and then defensively, they just had no discipline. There was no run defense, wide open holes. Their guys were getting blocked, guys were missing assignments. So it's almost like the Buccaneers put a secret game plan together to this is how you beat the Seahawks. We'll see, but I thought that was a disappointing one. And factor in that the Buccaneers have not been able to run the ball at all. On top of them being able to run the ball very, very easily, that factored in as well. So that was a tough one for the Seahawks there. They're down to number 10, but overall been playing really good football before that. Giants going to go up 1 spot to number 9. This was tough because the Seahawks did beat them just a couple weeks ago, but there's a lot more football that's been played in the head-to-head. The Giants have 2 games over them. They have 2 games ahead of them. The Giants are off a win, and I was very disappointed with the Seahawks' performance, so I felt all right putting the Giants at 9 there. Titans going to stay put at 8. Not the prettiest one. They were pretty beat up. They found a way to win. Like that defense, even when they were beat up. Bills down 1 spot to number 7. Yeah, back-to-back losses, but So you think maybe the Bills moved on more than that, but they still played pretty, even though it was sloppy in the end, they played pretty good football through a portion of that game against maybe the best team in football at the moment. Maybe not saying when it's all said and done, but and there was I know the Vikings were shooting themselves in the foot a lot during the game, but there was a time when the Bills were giving them the business. Like they were up big and then blowing that lead's pretty tough, but it's a game they should win, but they still put some good things, some good play out there despite being beat up. So it's a tough one. I just didn't, it's one of those where they lost 2 in a row. Maybe they should move down more. But do I really want to? Did I really feel the need to have the Titans ahead of them, the Giants, the Seahawks, the Jets, the Niners, these teams ahead of them? I didn't really see that. So the Bills, luckily only moved down 1 spot here. Ravens go up a spot. They're on a bye, but I felt like they're on a 3-game winning streak. They looked a lot better recently. The Bills just had to move down, so that's why I felt like there was enough to move up a team on a bye week there with the Baltimore Ravens. And I'd say the Titans are coming off a win, but it was very sloppy, so I don't know if I felt great about moving the Titans up either. So it was a tough part of the rankings there. Still, this part as well. Cowboys, disappointing loss against the Packers, and which the disappointing defensive outing, and then Dak with his interceptions as well. So it's tough. I know the Packers are tougher than what their record has shown. And they did have some good moments throughout that game, and they were probably a pass interference call away from maybe winning that game. And again, the Ravens on a bye. Did I want to move them up multiple spots? The Bills can't move up, obviously. There's not enough there to move up the Titans, Giants, Seahawks, Jets, 49ers more than they did or did not. So Cowboys fortunate to only move down 1 spot. But overall, they've been playing really good football this year. Number 4 is going to be the Dolphins, up 5 spots to number 4. So some big movement, especially at this time of the year, especially for the teams up at the top. Just super impressed with the Dolphins. The offense is so good. They can beat you at anything. It's so explosive. It's so fast. And I'm talking about like the speed and like the tempo, everything. It's smart. Defense played a lot better this week. I mean, the Browns don't have the best record, but that's like that they play everyone close. They play teams tough. We've seen them what they did to the Bengals, their game before that, and the Dolphins just destroyed them. They absolutely, and just what was going on in that game, I'm like, this team is a really good football team, and they kind of proved it over the last few weeks because we kind of weren't sure. We kind of knew they were a good team, but we weren't sure how good. Because everyone's in and out, and then they went on a losing streak. So how will they be when everything comes back together now that we're in season and it looks better than ever? So I'm extremely impressed with the Miami Dolphins. They're up 5 spots to number 4. Eagles are down to 3. They're down 2 spots. They've held that 1 spot for a long, long time in these power rankings, but they are fresh off a loss, a game that they should win, a team that I think the Eagles are supposed to be better than. They've looked a lot better than. They destroyed them last time they played them. They're at home on prime time. You have the advantage in that game, and they played pretty sloppy. They got dominated in time of possession, so you're going to move down for that. It's not the end of the world. You're still a very good football team. You play like the best for a majority of this season, but it's a game they should win. And you start to wonder, like, man, look at the difference. The last time these two teams played, what's happening right now? So kind of a wait and see. Eagles do play the Colts this week, so they should get back on track. But coming off a tough one there, luckily that's only their first loss of the season. The Chiefs are going to be number 1. They moved up 1 spot after the win against the Jaguars. They were dominating that one early. They kind of let the Jaguars slide back a little bit, but they took care of business in that one. And then the Minnesota Vikings, for the first time ever in my power rankings, are number 1 after that very entertaining game that come from behind win against the Bills. They were sloppy early in this game. They were just shooting themselves in the foot, in the feet there, and they were able to bounce back, come back against one of the best teams in football and win it. That's kind of the most impressive part to me. They're able to make the big time plays when they need to on both sides of the ball. Even though I don't love the defense for the most part, but that's just a big time win. That was just such a crazy game. It's like portion of the game, it's like the Bills got this one wrapped up. Vikings keep shooting themselves in the feet. Bills are taking advantage. It's like, all right, here comes the Vikings, and all of a sudden you think, oh, the Vikings are about to win. They got this game. Like, no, the Bills are about to win. Like, no, the Vikings got it, and the Vikings hold on to it. So it was just one of those games. It's why it was super entertaining. But it's kind of weird seeing, even though we thought the Vikings could be a good team this year, it's just kind of weird seeing them at 1 right now. But they are on a massive win streak. The last time I lost with the Eagles, that was back in week 2, where you see things starting to change now for all these teams and how much different they are from week 2. So that just being the hottest team in football plays been playing some good football plays a big part. Also, that Commanders win's looking a lot better right now, too. They had a clutch win. They played super well in the fourth quarter against the Commanders just a week ago in Washington, in D.C. So that actually looking a little bit better right now as well, because the Commanders are hot. They just took down the Eagles. So, yeah, Vikings. It's weird seeing the Vikings up there at 1. It's weird seeing the Raiders down there, the Broncos down there, the Saints. It's just been an interesting season to say the least here. But Vikings Cowboys this week, 1 versus 5. That's gonna be a great matchup. I cannot wait for that. Late afternoon slot. Is that bad news for Kirk Cousins? Vikings left tackle Christian Darsaw could be out. Is that great news for Micah Parsons? So a lot to watch for there. That should be a fun one. And yeah, who knows? That could give us a new number 1 for next week. So we'll see. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. We're always talking with you guys on Twitter. There's a link pinned in the comments for that, as well as some other important links. Please like, subscribe, turn notifications on, because we have full NFL coverage here. Weekly picks tonight, which is Tuesday. Score predictions Wednesday. We got you. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.